Hey guys, today you will be creating an annotated bibliography. This is going to be your first test grade for this grading period. So it needs to be turned in by the end of the week. The grading period ends on Friday, so I'll get them graded over the weekend. It's not a I know this is kind of a complicated term, but it's not a scary assignment. If you are on track with our timeline for research, you have got most of this work done already. If you're behind, you've got this class period and next class period to get caught up. So far, you should have found 10 sources. You should be cutting and pasting the citations for those sources from the database into a new document. And you should have saved a copy of each of your 10 articles into your Google folder that you have shared with me. So the grades you have in the gradebook so far, I have counted your articles in your shared folder. If you feel like you have more articles in your folder than I have given you credit for on the progress report, you can email me, or you can come find me tomorrow, or bring it up in class on Friday, and we can get those things corrected. Some of you have found articles, but you didn't save a copy of it. You just saved the citation or the URL. Some of you have saved articles to your Google Drive, but they weren't in your folder. So if you have questions, if you think you should have credit for those articles and they are not in there, email me or come find me and we can figure that part out. So what is a works cited list? A works cited list literally is a list of the works that you have cited in your paper. If you break that term down logically, you cannot list anything in the works cited list that you have not cited in your paper. So the definition of the phrase is pretty self-explanatory. This will be the last page of your research paper. So any of the citations that you have included in your paper in parentheses, where you include the author's last name and the title of the work, those are the articles that you cite at the end of your research paper. If you'll look at page 10 of the research packet that I gave you the first week of school, you will find an example of a works cited list. If you can't find your copy of the research packet, there are some in the metal tray over on the table by the door to the classroom. A bibliography is a little bit different than a works cited. A bibliography is a list of all the works that you have consulted or all the works that you considered using to write your paper, even if you didn't cite them in your paper. So if it's an article that you read and decided not to use, you still include that in your bibliography page. If you'll recall, I'm requiring you to find 10 sources, but you only have to use 6 of them in your paper. Remember, if you find 10 sources, odds are, out of those 10, you might find 6 that are actually worth using. You could use them all in your paper, but the only sources that you will list on your works cited are the articles that you actually used to write your paper. So a bibliography page is a list of all the sources that you're considering using. In other words, it's going to be the list of 10 sources that you have found for this assignment. But I told you that you're going to write an annotated bibliography. So if we look at the word annotated, if you break down the word annotated, the root word of annotated is the verb notate. If you don't know that word, the root word of notate is the noun note. So you're going to make a note for each source in your bibliography. Under each citation, you're just going to write a one-sentence summary of the source. You don't even have to read the entire article to be able to write a one-sentence summary. You need to maybe read the first paragraph and skim over the article a little bit. This is where you could include things like why you want to use this source or why you don't want to use this source. The purpose of this assignment is to make sure that you have all 10 articles and that you have at least looked over them before we get into creating our outline and working on our paper next week. So the process to do this is very simple. You might want to take a picture of the screen. I've also got these directions written on the back whiteboard. If you have been keeping up with the assignments in class and the appropriate timeline, then you should be able to get this done before you leave class today. All you have to do is open your list of citations found in Google. Some of you have been cutting and pasting the URLs or the web addresses and not cutting and pasting the proper citations. If that's you, you have some extra work to do. You need to go back to the articles. If you found them on the database, you're going to have to try to find that same article again and copy and paste the citation into a new document. If you have articles that you have found from a Google search, you're going to have to use EasyBib to create those citations. But if you have been keeping up with the citations all along, all you have to do is open that document. Then in the top left-hand corner, you're going to click on File and Make a Copy. It will prompt you to name the copy of this new document, and you are going to name it Annotated Bibliography. The next thing I want you to do is you're going to correct the format of this document. So you need to highlight the entire document, change the font to Times New Roman, size 12, and double space. The next part of the format you will need to do is make sure that your sources are in alphabetical order. There is a button that you can click to do it automatically, or you can cut and paste and move it around yourself. The last thing you need to do to make the format correct is make each citation a hanging indent. Normal indentation, like when you indent a paragraph, the first line is indented, the rest of the lines are at the margin. A hanging indent is just the opposite. For each citation, the first line is at the margin, and all the other lines are indented. In Microsoft Word, you can change the format to do this for you automatically. In Google Docs, you have to do it manually for each citation. I'm sorry, my dog is crying in the background. Come here. In Google Docs, at the end of a line, you hit Enter, and that will allow you to tab over the next line. If that doesn't make any sense to you, Ms. Mills and Ms. Warren in the library can help you out with that. The last thing you will do for your annotated bibliography, underneath each citation, you will add a bullet point and type a one-sentence summary. So you have the remainder of class today to work on this. If you are behind, you need to get caught up. If you are on track, just follow these steps, print it out, and turn it in. This will be your first test grade. It's due by the end of the week. Next class period, your assignment is going to be to continue reading your articles and highlight and make notes. So by the time you leave class on Friday, you need to have made notes on all of your articles, and you need to have created and printed your annotated bibliography. If you have questions, email me, come find me this afternoon. I'll be back after school, or you can come find me tomorrow or ask me on Friday. Thank you very much. Bye, guys.